that has little to no cracks. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
it,
important, right? And that's hard to find in
yeah,
the Bronx, right?
very, very, very hard. So, so we did stop at a couple of parks, and when we came across St. Mary's, interestingly enough, there were people out there already skating, in the space, kids and stuff. And so we said to ourselves, this seems very organic, it seems natural. So why don't we, just locate ourselves here, and every Sunday invite the community to come out and share the space with us.
Nice, but you just started this in May.
Literally, yeah. May 2nd, we had the idea. The conversation started after I think we may have skated out in Long Island. We went to Brooklyn, and again, we said to ourselves, like, why isn't there something in the Bronx? The Bronx has a lot to offer. Why isn't there something like this in the Bronx? And that's really what we decided to do. And on Sunday, May 16th, that's when we started it.
Nice, nice. Well, I know that there is another event, and I'm not trying to compare anything, but I just want to be realistic because, people are like, well, some people want more, but some people are happy. Less is actually more sometimes. So I noticed that you state that you don't have a DJ like some of the other skate, and those things are like occasionally. It's not like a every Sunday type of thing. But you do have a boom box, and what makes yours different? What makes people want to come to yours versus someone who has a DJ?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And you know what? Actually, we love what's happening in the other boroughs, in Brooklyn and Manhattan. It's just that we're different, in the Bronx. And again, there's nothing like this happening, really anywhere else in the Bronx that we can find, we can figure out. I'll be the first one to say it probably is. I just don't know about it.
Uh-huh.
And I would love to connect with other groups in the Bronx, but our idea for creating that meetup space in the Bronx, like that's really where it came from. We wanted a space where people can come and enjoy the park for free. We wanted a space where people can come and connect with their kids and with the older adults. That's kind of what makes us special as well, because in the space you'll see adults and kids vibing together, teaching one another, laughing, talking. The space that we have in the Bronx, some people just come to sit down and listen to the music.
Right.
They don't even put on skates. It's like literally they just pull up a chair and they just watch the energy that's
I was
happening in
just
the
gonna say,
space.
enjoy the energy. Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, and
yeah,
that's what it's
seriously. I mean,
about. That's what it's about. Because
yeah,
even from the moment you came on, you smiling, you got this great persona. Like you're positive, and I could tell that when you put this together, it was to spread love and awareness on health. Health is important, right? But especially after the pandemic. What were your thoughts as far as that part of your program?
yeah, most definitely. Like this is happening all across the city, right? There's been a resurgence in roller skating and outdoor activity because we've been locked up for about a year and a half inside, and so our thought was let's get outside, let's enjoy the sun, let's enjoy the open space, and let's become active. Let's encourage the community to do the same. And every single Sunday that we're out there, we get people, we get our regulars, right? And then we get people that are just walking through the park, people that live across the street from the park that are saying to us, wow, when did this start? This is so great that you guys are doing this for the kids. This is so great you're doing it for the community. Where can I buy a pair of skates? I had a guy that was on a walker, that
Oh
was just out there
wow.
chilling and, watching us. And he kept calling me up and said, if you keep going around, you got to make me want to get up from this walker and buy a
Uh,
pair of skates.
and that right there is enough motivation to keep this going. You know what I'm saying? That's those things are like the most important part. When you can see someone who does have some physical disabilities or whatever, but still has the eagerness and want and the joy just by watching you do what you do with other people. So that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
know you said you
absolutely.
don't have skates at the moment. What do you need to get help with that?
So, I mean, we would really like to create more noise and more buzz, and more of a push towards the city and the parks department, to do a couple of things. One is, from our perspective, we don't see enough designated spaces for roller skaters in New York City, much less the Bronx.
Right.
We have to co-op tennis courts, invade basketball courts, and really like find spaces that could double as a roller skating space, but it's not really conducive to smooth skating dance skating, and really enjoying yourself injury free.
Right.
And so like that's one of the focus points that we want is for there to be designated open roller skating spaces in New York City parks. The same way we have designated tennis courts, basketball courts, skateboard parks, bike lanes, run lanes, right? We want a space for roller skaters inside of these New York City parks.
Yes.
The second thing is, we would like help from the city or the Parks Department, to provide free skate rentals for New York City residents and Bronx residents to enjoy this sport inside the park. We don't have, roller skating rinks like we did back in the day with Skate Key and Papaya,
That was my home.
and
Yes, Skate
you know what I mean?
Allison
So,
Avenue. I'm from the old school Skate
yes. Yes.
Yes.
Old school cakey. But as I mentioned, pushes for folks to get outside and to get active. And one of the ways that we think that can happen is by having designated spaces for people to come to and enjoy injury free, and then also have the means to actually enjoy the activity, which is skate rentals.
Right, right. And so let's just make it clear, you don't provide lessons. What you provide is fun, but you do help people, right? Like, talk about that as well. So in case they're
Yeah,
wondering, newbies or
we
people
do.
like me who haven't skated in a while, baby, I need to hold somebody's hand or something. I don't know. What do you do?
Hey, come on, we got you. But we don't officially give lessons because we actually don't want to charge the community, for lessons. So
Right.
when folks come out, we're out there, we're vibing with people, and we'll usually ask people, what is it that you're working on today? Is there anything that you would like to learn, anything that you want to pick up, and we'll show whoever anything that they want, because we want to make those connections and we want people to feel comfortable, in this space. And so far it's been working. We've been out there for about 8 weeks now,
Wow.
and we have a good group of people that come, and more people are coming because they hear about it. And we would like to think of ourselves as like a small little family. It's like a reunion or a cookout every Sunday.
Right.
No frills, just bare bones.
No frills. You hear that? And that's from 2 to 6. That's 4 hours. That's a lot of your time.
Yeah, I mean, look, for people like me that love to dance, there's actually not enough time.
Right, right. True, true, true.
We wish that we could be out there longer, but we just want to provide that space for adults and kids to come out and connect with one another and be in a positive, safe space.
Right. So you be doing tricks and everything? Like you got moves? Like you and your partner?
Yeah, we gotta do a little something out there, to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and it's a joy, to roller skate. It's a feeling of immense freedom, and it's refreshing just to skate and breathe under the sun and to listen to some music.
Absolutely. You definitely need to get that sun. That vitamin D is so, so important. And that's what we were lacking through the whole quarantine. You'd be surprised how many people, when they went to their doctors after quarantine was kind of over, that they lacked vitamin D. Like, I seriously spoke to a doctor about that. It was real. It's definitely important. While you can, go get it. Breathe some fresh air. Get in the oxygen that you need. That is very important.
Yes, so many benefits to roller skating, so many benefits to just being outside in the open air and getting that vitamin D, as you mentioned, Kim. And so, I can't stress that enough. There's a 50% chance that your knees and your joints are gonna do much better than when you were actually running. Basketball injuries are 400% more than injuries that she was sustained from roller skating.
Wow.
Roller skating is good for your heart.
Right.
It gets the blood circulation going. It works on most major muscle groups, quads, glutes, abs, hammies, calves, everything.
Yes, it does.
There's so much about roller skating. I can go on and on and on.
No, please tell them. Let them know what it's good for. Let them know. Let them know.
Yeah. I mean, and for me, since we've been, as I mentioned, locked up for about a year and a half in quarantine, with folks just getting outside, adults, kids in particular, right? Just being in that open space, getting that fresh air can actually do wonders for your mental health. feelings of being happy, getting that serotonin pumping, making
Yes.
connections with people, real life, in person, rather
Yes.
than over a screen,
Thank you.
has a different impact on somebody's psyche and on their social ability, to move about in the space. And when folks come out on Sundays, I mean, all of that is in full swing, right? The music, the laughs, the energy, folks helping each other out. Sometimes we got kids helping adults, learn things and go around. And for me, like, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see, because as adults, we can't put the responsibility of bridging these connections in the generations on the younger ones. We have to be able, to lead the way and provide that example and say, hey, how are you doing? Introduce ourselves, take them around, show them that it's fun, and then the kids will reciprocate that energy and do it for one another, and actually, do it for the adults. And as a Bronx dude, born, raised, currently living,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just so excited to see like this happening in a community that I love.
No, indeed. And so are we. And this is exactly why we bring these types of people and always community segments in our news shows, because it's so important. There's so many people saying, oh, there's nothing to ever do. And especially being stuck in the house, again, I have to emphasize that, because so many people had nothing to do. But there are things to do. And real quick, I do, I want to give some respect to Bernadette Henry, another woman, another person who
Yeah.
she does the jump rope, you know what I'm saying? So they are doing
Yes.
things in person where you can be active, where you can actually have fun. It's not just about, you have to do it this way or that way. It's not about that at all. It's just being yourself, dealing with good people, good energy, the vibes, getting the healing mentally,
Yes.
physically, spiritually, emotionally. All those things are so important. And this is why we emphasize this on Millennium TV 24, especially on the good look news. So
Yes.
because
Yes.
we want to
Yes.
keep that going, and
Yes.
we want our people to stay healthy in all different aspects. So let them know where they can find you, Nathan, or if I missed anything, just give them some more information before we wrap it
No,
up.
yeah, definitely. Folks can find us at St. Mary's Park, specifically at 147th Street and St. Anne's Avenue, right next to the tennis courts. We are there every single Sunday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Folks can check out our social media handles, because we'll post every single week, when we will be out there. And our handle is at Bronx Roland Skaters, and it's the same handle on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
And
So if you're not
skaters
doing,
is SK8, the number 8, ERS, correct?
yes, yes, SK the number 8 ERS.
All right, so you heard it here. This is Kim Seabrook. We have Nathan Smith, and shout out to your partner, Lawrence Topman.
Yeah.
Both of these guys have done an amazing job out here in the Bronx, and this is needed. And so, yeah, let's make sure to follow them and stay in tune and go out every Sunday. If not every Sunday, at least try every other Sunday. But tell your friends, tell your family members, get the kids out there. That's so important. Get them off that game and off the computer and into the actual world of people.
Yes.
Activities, activities.
Yes. Live people.
Oh, Nathan, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We're going to go into a quick commercial break, and then have to go back into the news segment. But I thank you so much for sharing space with us. And
Yes, thank you.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So we'll definitely be in touch, and I'll make sure to keep on promoting what you do.
All right, cool. Appreciate that, Gail.
No problem. Thank you. We'll be right back. I'm Kim Seabrook with Millennium TV 24 News, and you are watching the Good Look in the News. What's a break? We are on a break. Going to break. Millennium TV 24. We'll be right back. Again. Well, okay. Oh my gosh.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Was Nathan Smith with Bronx Rolling Skaters. You can see them every weekend, every Sunday from 2 to 6 over at St. Mary's Park in the Bronx on 147th in St. Anne's. Please make sure to go out there, bring your roller skates. If you just want to sit there and listen to music, you can do that too. But let's get back into the news. And I was discussing, I'm coming back one hot dog at a time. So how the hot dog king of New York City was forced to sleep in his van after having his 499 permits stripped, but it's rebuilding with one lucrative car outside the Metropolitan Museum. Disabled veteran Dan Rossi was once the hot dog king of New York City, with the largest vending company in New York City history and 499 permits to his name. But it all came crashing down when the city cracked down on multiple permit holders and revoked all but one of Rossi's licenses. Well, now he is rebuilding the business with a cart in one of the busiest spots in New York outside the Metropolitan Museum. Again, as he said, one hot dog at a time. He railed against city plans to ban disabled former servicemen and women from vending in Midtown, forcing officials to scrap the planned regulations. Rossi believes that this activism made him some powerful enemies, including then Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who then stripped him of his 499 permits, leaving him with one mobile food license, which he still holds. Rossi's millions-dollar life then fell apart. His wife had a stroke, forcing the business to close. The couple lost their home in Greenwich, Connecticut, and ended up living in a van. I went from riches to below rags, Rossi said. 2 years later, in 2007, Rossi was ready to fight again. What he did, he borrowed a pushcart from a friend and parked it outside the Metropolitan Museum along 5th Avenue and 82nd Street in Manhattan. So a permit for the coveted spot, known for its hungry tourists and lack of nearby eateries, would usually cost around $650,000 a year. But Rossi had no intention of paying that. I'm a disabled veteran. I sacrificed for this country, and I've got a right to make a living like everyone else, he explained. So Rossi, what he did was prepare legal records filled with arguments on why he has the right to vend outside of the Met without paying the city. His primary argument stems from a state law from the Civil War era that granted veterans the right to free vending permits. For the first 5 years in the spot, Rossi spent most nights sleeping in the cart. Officials tried to pass laws making it illegal to sleep in a cart, so Rossi then moved on to his van. Police have also repeatedly tried to move Rossi on giving him tickets, taking him to court, throwing him in jail, and once trying to tow his cart. But every time he received a warning or a setback, Rossi moved closer to the museum steps. 2 of Rossi's carts now sit in pride of place at the center of the museum, one run by Rossi himself and the other by his daughter Elizabeth, who is also a disabled Marine. The pandemic devastated his business and forced him to shutter the cart for months on end. visiting only to make sure police had not moved them. He was recently able to reopen and is now flanked by 7 other carts who sell ice cream, halal food, pretzels, and more hot dogs. From riches to rags to stability, Rossi's business now supports 3 generations of his family and provides sufficient earnings to survive the winter off-season. So they're not going to be me, not again. I may not be the hot dog king anymore, but I've still got a lot of fight left in me. I'm coming back one hot dog at a time. And next, we have the search back on after rest of South Florida condo demolished. Rescuers were giving the all clear to resume work looking for victims at a collapsed South Florida condo building after the demolition crews set off a string of explosives that brought down the last of the building in a plume of dust. Crews immediately began clearing some of the new debris so rescuers could start making their way into parts of the underground garage that is of particular interest. So once there, they were hoping to get a clear picture of voids that may exist in the rubble as they searched for 121 people believed to be trapped under the fallen wing of the Champlain Tower South in Surfside that collapsed on June 24th. No one has been rescued alive since the first hours after the collapse. And just recently, the Miami-Dade police identified David Epstein, 58, as one of the 24 people known to have perished in the fallen tower. His remains were recovered Friday. Some residents have pleaded to return to their homes one last time before the demolition to retrieve belongings left in the haste, but were denied. Others wondered about the pets left behind, even though officials said they found no signs of animals after making 3 final sweeps, including the use of drones to peer into the abandoned structure. Levine Cava said officials have been explaining their decisions with the survivors since the beginning of the search and rescue effort. It's a sad story. And next, Southwest American delays hint at hard summer for travelers. Oh yes, this summer is already shaping up to be a difficult one for air travelers. Southwest Airlines customers have struggled with thousands of delays and hundreds of canceled flights this month. And that's just because of computer problems. Computer problems, staffing shortages, and unfortunately bad weather. American Airlines is also grappling with a surge in delays, and it has trimmed its schedule through mid-July, at least in part because it doesn't have enough pilots, according to the pilots union. Travelers are posting photos of long airport lines and describing painful flights. It was ridiculously crowded, Tracy Milligan said of airports after a round trip from her New Jersey home to Miami this week. There have been 10 days in June when more than 2 million travelers went through the U.S. airports, according to figures from the Transportation Security Administration. Airlines say that domestic leisure travel is nearly back to 2019 levels, although the lack of business travelers means that the number of passengers over the past week is still down about 20% compared with the same days in 2019. The airlines were expecting a blockbuster July 4th weekend, scheduling more than 100,000 U.S. flights between the 1st and the 5th. That was nearly twice the 58,000 that they offered over the same days last year, according to the data from aviation research Cirium. July 1st was the first time the TSA screened more people than on the same day in 2019. And the past weekend highlights the rapid turnaround, boosting an industry that was fighting for survival just last year. The recovery has been faster than many had even expected, including, apparently, the airlines themselves. And since the start of the pandemic, U.S. airlines have received $54 billion in federal aid to help cover payroll expenses. In return, they were prohibited from furloughing or laying off workers. However, they were allowed to persuade tens of thousands of employees to take buyouts, early retirement, or leaves of absence. Now, some are finding that they don't even have enough people in key roles, including pilots. This week, as Southwest officials brace for crowded flights over the holiday weekend, they offered to double pay for flight attendants and other employees who agree to extra work throughout today. The staffing shortage is across the board, and on the pilot side, it's training backlog, said Casey Murrow, president of the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association. Southwest came into the summer with very little margin. Andrew Thomas, a frequent flyer who teaches international business at the University of Akron and has tracked air rage more than 20 years, believes conditions are ripe for even more incidents on the planes this summer just because travelers are more stressed than ever. The problem was there before COVID, and now you're putting more people in the sky, and you exacerbate this with the mask, Thomas said. Service levels are atrocious, planes are packed, they are not feeding you, it's hard to get food in an airport, and the only thing that's easy is to get alcohol, and which is not a good thing. I so agree. Not a good thing. I hope they get this all clear so travelers can travel safe and in comfort, which is most important. And next, the tropical storm Elsa had landed on central Cuba coast. Tropical storm Elsa swept along Cuba's southern coast early Monday, and the forecasters said it could make landfall on the island's central shore by mid-afternoon. So by Sunday, Cuban officials had evacuated 180,000 people as a precaution against the possibility of heavy flooding from a storm that already battered several Caribbean islands, killing at least 3 people. Most of those evacuated stayed at relatives' homes, others went to the government shelters, and hundreds were living in the mountainous areas which took refuge in caves prepared for emergencies. Elsa was forecast to cover over Cuba by Monday night and then head for Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency in 15 counties, including in Miami-Dade, where a high-rise condominium building collapsed on June 24th, which we just discussed. Late Sunday, Elsa's center was about 270 miles southeast of Havana and moving northwest at 15 miles per hour. Its maximum sustained winds has strengthened a bit to about 65 miles per hour, the National Hurricane Center in Miami stated. Elsa was a Category 1 hurricane until Sunday morning, causing widespread damage on several eastern Caribbean islands over the weekend as the first hurricane of the Atlantic season. Among the hardest hit were Barbados, where more than 1,100 people were reported damaged houses, including 62 homes that collapsed. Of course, you got the downed trees that were also reported in Haiti, which is especially vulnerable to floods and landslides because of widespread erosion and deforestation. Haiti's Civil Protection Agency said that 3 people had been injured by downed trees. Portions of Cuba were forecast to get rainfall up to 5 to 10 inches, and that was with isolated spots getting up to 15 inches as well. Jamaica had got a total of 4 to 8 inches, and that was with a maximum of 15 inches. It's been a wild past few days overseas, and we're hoping that everything gets better. Next, we have in Japan, searches for dozens missing in the mudslide. 4 dead. Rescue workers dug through sludge and debris Monday looking for dozens of people who may be trapped after a torrent of mud, trees, and rocks ripped with a roar through a Japanese seaside resort town, killing at least 4 people. 80 people were still unaccounted for 2 days after the landslide, according to Shizuoka, the prefectural disaster management official Takamichi Sigama, and officials plan to release their names, hoping that perhaps some were just away when the disaster struck. Since many of the apartments and houses in Amati are second homes or vacation rentals. Initially, 147 people were unreachable, but that number was revised downward after officials confirmed some had safely evacuated or was simply not at home. In addition to the 4 people found dead, officials said 25 people have been rescued, including 3 who were injured. The disaster is an added trial as authorities prepare for the Tokyo Olympics, which is due to start in less than 3 weeks, while Japan is still in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, which cases steadily are climbing in the capital, and experts suggesting a need for another state of emergency. And that is your news worldwide. We have evacuations ordered after Thai chemical factory explodes. A massive explosion at a chemical factory on the outskirts of Bangkok early Monday killed at least 1 person, injured dozens more, and damaged scores of homes, while prompting the evacuation of a wide area over fears of poisonous fumes and the possibility of additional denotations. Dense clouds of black smoke continued to blow from the site late in the afternoon. Wind shifted and started blowing towards the city center, and evacuation centers were set up in a school and a government office for those forced from their homes. The fire broke out around 3 a.m. at a foam and plastic pellet manufacturing factory just outside of Bangkok, which is near Suvarnabhumi Airport, with the explosion blowing out of windows of surrounding homes and sending debris raining from the air. The blast could be heard for miles, and surveillance video from a nearby house had captured the bright flash and boom, followed by the damage to the home and one next door from the shockwaves. The main blaze at the Mingdi chemical factory had been brought under control by mid-morning, but an enormous tank containing the chemical styrene monomer continued to burn. Helicopters tried to navigate close enough to dump fire retardant onto it, initially with little apparent success. Authorities said 62 people have been injured, including 12 involved in firefighting and rescue efforts, and one person had been confirmed dead. And just to let you know, styrene monomer, a hazardous liquid chemical, is used in the production of disposable foam plates, cups, and other products that can produce poisonous fumes when ignited. Sherlight said officials were trying to move all people out of the area, including doctors and patients from the neighborhood's main hospital, where many of the casualties were initially treated, over fear of the fumes and the possibility of more explosions. And what do we have next? Doha suspension ends. Yes, in sports, we are going to go into sports. Doha suspension ends before relay event. Sha'Carri Richardson left off U.S. Olympic track team. U.S. star sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson was left off the roster for the U.S. track and field team that will compete at the Olympics in Tokyo, according to the team list released Tuesday by USA Track and Field. Richardson has secured her spot at the Tokyo Olympics with a runaway victory in the women's 100 meters at the U.S. Olympic track and fields trials last month, but she was suspended 1 month from the Olympic team after testing positive for THC, which is a chemical that's found in marijuana. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency announced that last week. The women's 4x100 meter relay is scheduled after the suspension ends, but Richardson was not selected for the relay pool. First and foremost, we are incredibly sympathetic toward Sha'Carri Richardson's extenuating circumstances and strongly applaud her accountability and will offer her our continued support both on and off the track. And that was a statement made by the USATF. And while the USATF fully agrees that the merit of the World Anti-Doping Agency rules related to THC should be re-evaluated, it will be detrimental to the integrity of the U.S. Olympic team trials for track and field if USATF amended its policy following competition, only weeks before Olympic Games. Yes, sad news. But as we know, the weather is going to be hot. But what are we doing? Elsa, Wednesday, slight chance of afternoon, which is today, evening showers and thunderstorms. We have a high near of 91, low around 74. Thursday, mostly cloudy with showers with a high near 85, a low around 70. Friday, again, chance of showers, mostly cloudy with a high near 83, low around 72. Saturday, again, it's going to be rainy next few days, so another chance of showers, partly sunny with a high near 86, low around 72. But last but not least, Vanessa Gibson presented the street code-naming ceremony on Park Avenue and 156th Street in the Bronx today. And that is in honor of Brandon Hendricks Ellison, and that's going to be the name of the boulevard, a young man who was 17 years old killed, having just graduated high school, who's on the threshold of an amazing future. Hendricks was shot in the neck outside of an apartment building on Davison Avenue near 176th Street in the Morris Heights section in the Bronx in June of 2020. So yes, today he got the ceremony and the street named after him. And we thank you for watching Millennium TV 24. You are watching the Good Look in News with me, Kim Seabrook. Thank you. Make sure to watch us on Roku, Amazon TV, Apple TV. Download your apps on your Androids and your iPhones. Make sure you download it if you have a smart TV. We're everywhere, and we thank you for tuning in. See you next time.